think we're live here. Got a little bit of a delay going on. Let's see. I'm starting the stream. You want to say hey real quick though?
No.
Goodbye. See you later, buddy. Yo. Not sure if anyone's in here yet. Just kind of waiting a few minutes here. All right, well, for anyone that is here already, this is my first stream, so bear with me as I'm trying to figure out like the best way to go about doing it. Still got a few minutes till 1 o'clock, so I'm just waiting until then. But yeah, basically just getting the stream up here on YouTube. This is my first time doing it, so bear with me. Pretty excited to break this all down, though. I'm using OBS. I don't know if you guys have ever used that before for streaming here, but here we are, and yeah. The great thing about these streams is that I can always archive them, so you guys can always go back and watch this stuff if you're not currently here watching the stream. So I'm really excited that I'm able to do that, and feeling it pretty good. Actually, just went out on Church Street here, where I'm at, and just shot some photos for product recently here. So I'm just getting back in from getting lunch and taking some photos. It's pretty nice outside. It's been raining like, I don't know, almost every other day in Vermont here. So it's nice to get some good weather for once. Basically, we're doing like a sequence where we take a photo of like a product up against a backdrop, and we take like 30 photos, and then you sync them all together, and you throw them in your editing software and make like a cool like stop motion effect, I guess you could say. You just like layer them all together. So probably add like a little motion blur in post, and try and create something cool out of that. So Game Morning Extreme, congrats on your first stream. Thanks, man. I think that's you, Brent. Appreciate it if that's you. If it's not you, then whoever you are, I appreciate you for sure. But yeah, if you guys are here already, like, let me know in the chat. Would love to interact with you guys. Yeah, as you can see, I already have my project open here, ready to break it all down for you guys. Just waiting until 1 o'clock here, real quick. Curious what you guys are up to today as well, like if you guys are editing anything, like what you guys have been working on. But yeah, I think it's 12:59, so I'm pretty much gonna get started on the whole breakdown here. Gonna stay as organized as I can, but basically gonna start with like the pre-production, how I went about like filming the actual show, and then actually like editing the whole video together. And I'll show you guys how I made like some specific transitions and just like effects and transitions that I like to use in my videos, and just break it all down from start to finish. So like basically in the pre-production phase, I more or less knew that this video was going to be a little bit more bare bones, I guess you could say, and that I probably wouldn't be using as many like transitions or effects that I usually use, which is totally fine by me. It kind of makes the edit a little bit easier, honestly. But yeah, so going into that, I was like, all right, well, you know what, like I'll try my best to, at least add some pizzazz into the edit, make it stand out in its own way. But before I even like go to these shoots, I'm always creating like a Google document sheet where I write down like my gear list, like my shot ideas, what kind of edit I'm trying to make, just like always doing some kind of like pre-production document. Even though it's like a concert and you can't really, there's a lot of stuff you can't control. Like you gotta be able to change your filming style or whatever on the like in the moment. So I'm often like changing my pre-production plans pretty often. Um, and like it was a 3 hour drive for me from like Vermont to Boston, so like 3.5 hours. So like another part of my pre-production process is I'll like usually record, or sorry, I won't record, but I will listen to songs like from that genre of the concert I'm shooting. So like this concert was pretty much like disco music, so I was listening to a lot of like disco themed songs and watching videos that are like in that space. It just kind of like puts me in that creative mindset, and I feel like more connected to the kind of video like I'm actually trying to make. So that's like another part of my pre-production process. I listen to a lot of ABBA on the way to Boston, which isn't a bad thing. I like their music, and I've been shooting these disco shows for years now, so it's like I've heard every song, like every disco song you could possibly think of. I swear to God, I've heard it. But yeah. So then as far as like, that's pretty much like all my pre-production stuff. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on like pre-production and the other stuff just because I want to like break down into the edit for sure. But then just real quick about like how I went about actually filming the concert. I actually just spent a lot of time like, so when I'm shooting concerts, I'm a pretty like interactive filmer, so I'm not afraid to like go up into crowds or like go up to people and be super intimate with them and like convince them to do like some kind of like action or sing into the camera, like drink into the camera. During the shoot, I actually asked quite a few people to like drink on camera because I was going to create a sequence of like people drinking in the video, which I kind of did, not to the exact like idea I originally had. But you guys will be able to see that at the beginning of the recap video, just a few of those drinking shots. But I'm pretty comfortable shooting concerts now. So like back then when I first started, I was pretty anxious. Like I had pretty bad crowd anxiety. I'm curious like if you guys deal with that as well. But I would have my zoom lens and like zoom in from pretty far away and kind of film from like just far away. And like that's not a bad thing, and I still do that, but it was more so because I was just nervous. I was like too afraid to get up close and personal with people on camera. But the more I shot the shows, the more comfortable I got, and the more I realized like people don't mind being on camera. Like if anything, they're excited to be on camera. So that makes my job like 10 times easier. So at this shoot in particular, I was able to get a ton of like up close and personal intimate shots. So I knew I wanted this video to feel like pretty intimate and that the viewer could connect with like the unique personalities at the show. You had people that were like dressed up in like disco costumes, and like people had like prop microphones that they were singing into. There's just like a lot of unique personalities. So I knew I wanted to get some close-up shots of that so viewers could feel more, connected to those people. And another big part of like filming shows for me is like, sorry if this is too loud, just trying to monitor my audio. Another big part of shooting shows is like you have to put on a smile. Like I feel like putting on a smile definitely helps you like not be so intimidating when you're filming people. Like there are people out there that are not comfortable with a camera being in their face, and so I'm often like trying to smile and just like interact with the actual attendees and like make them feel more comfortable. So I'm just like laughing or chatting, like whatever it is, just like positively interact with the attendees. Your footage, might come out looking a little better. People might look more comfortable on camera, which is always a plus. But it's also like knowing how to be discreet as well, like knowing when certain people like don't want to be filmed. You can kind of just like feel out that vibe. I feel like I have a pretty good feel for it nowadays, where like I can tell if someone doesn't really want to be on camera. Some people are just like too nice to say no, but you can often tell from like their body language and like their facial language. And I'm always wearing like black clothes to these shows because it's just like a video film industry standard thing where you're wearing dark clothes, helps you not stick out as much. So I'm normally trying to wear like black clothes. And as I said earlier, just like another thing with filming concerts is like it's an environment you can't control a lot of stuff. Like whatever happens in the moment happens. It's not like you're doing like you can create a shot list, which I do all the time, but like you can't like direct people to do stuff. Like you can, but you just gotta kind of work with like what you have, at least in my scenario, because I'm just showing up to these shows just by myself, normally as like a one-man team. Sometimes I'll like get a second shooter sometimes, like my buddy AJ. I don't know if he's watching this, but if he is, shout out AJ. I was with him in Boston, and he was getting like some extra B-roll stuff for me, some like extra behind the scenes stuff. So that's always nice to have like someone you can depend on too if you're afraid you're gonna miss the shot. But basically, the boat was like, it was big enough to where there was like a few floors. So like you have the top floor where the main like singing or the main dancing and like the show was going on. Then you had a floor underneath, which was, there was actually another DJ there, but it was more like low key. So actually, when I got there, I scouted the boat, went underneath that floor, and pretty much went from like side to side just to make sure that I like knew what route would be easiest for me to get around. And so like I could go from one end of the boat all the way in the back and get like uh, facing the crowd, like facing the DJ up on stage, and then I could also get, you know, all the way on the other side at the very front with the DJ behind the DJ up on the stage, like facing out to the crowd. So that was just like a route that I was taking pretty often, because if I'm trying to like go through a big crowd, it can be pretty tough, you know, and like it's just uncomfortable sometimes. And like another thing too is like I shot this whole show handheld, and I guess like I could probably just show you guys some like raw footage here, but make my preview a little bit bigger. And I'm just gonna make sure you guys can see this. Hopefully, just double checking here. Yeah, a little bit of a delay, which is totally fine. So like, yeah, you guys can see like up here in the preview window, if my Adobe doesn't decide to crash, which it might. I got this new Mac, but like it's been giving me trouble, man. It's like brand new 2024 one. Anyways, so I've got all my footage proxied out. I have it all muted, so hopefully you guys can't hear that. Let me just make sure, because I don't want to blast your guys' eardrums for any reason here. Yeah, that should be good, I think. Hopefully. Boom, you guys still got me? I hope so. So yeah, basically we've got like just a ton of handheld footage. This entire shoot was handheld. So like as I was saying, like this is from the front of the boat where the DJ is, so like the stage is behind him here. We're facing out into the crowd and we're out on the water. So that was like one side of the boat, and then if I go all the way down like here in my other shots, like, oh man, this shot's so good. I just had to show that. That's like one of my rack focus shots. I love that. Always get that shot. But as you can see, like I'm in the crowd here facing the actual stage. So there's like two sides to the boat, obviously. So I'm always trying to get shots from like each end of the boat. I'm trying to just get, yeah, here we go. This is all the way in the back of the boat. So you're facing towards the stage. And it looks pretty great. Like I was definitely super happy with the footage. Yeah, so like I said, handheld footage. Didn't use my gimbal at all because it's just super tough when you're like going through a big crowd of people. Like I just find it's pretty tough. It's like very constrained. You have this big gimbal with you. You know, I just like to do stuff handheld. But and then real quick, I guess before we like dive any further into the actual like edit of it, I just wanted to go over my camera settings for you guys, so you guys like know how I'm shooting, what I'm shooting with. So I have my trusty A7 IV here, as you can hopefully see. So yeah, this is my go-to camera, and I use this for all my shoots. So I basically shoot everything 24 FPS and 60 FPS. I shot a majority of the shoot in 24 FPS, but I used some 60 FPS stuff just so I had slow-mo. I also use my Sigma 24x70 zoom lens here. It's the version 1. I've used this thing on literally every single shoot I've done since I bought this camera like 2 years ago. It's never let me down. Like, it's a great lens. I love this for concert filmmaking. It's got just enough zoom, and it's wide enough. You know, it's like 24 millimeter. I did just get the Sony 16mm 1.8 recently, which has been really fun, and I did use that on this shoot. This is my first shoot using that lens. So it was really, really fun. Like, so it definitely helps like having two different lenses for me. I think the wide shot, like I've always wanted a wide angle lens to really show like how big the crowds are. So like something like that would be better in like a bigger venue, I'd say. So like I'm shooting Big Night Live at the end of the month. So I think that would be really cool to like actually like use that lens in that environment, which I think would be pretty sick. And then, yeah, when I'm filming, I'm often like, I'm literally just holding my camera like this normally because I'm shooting all horizontal. So I've always got like, you know, a few points of contact to help keep my camera steady. I always have my IBIS, so my in-body stabilization set to standard, just so my, you know, my footage looks less shaky. It does a pretty good job. I don't use active because then it zooms in and it's just, it doesn't look natural. So that's always a plus. Shooting 4K, everything in 4K. I'm always doing like double double shutter speed rule. So like I'm shooting at 24 FPS, I'm shooting at 1/50. If I'm shooting 60 FPS, 1/120. And like a cool trick that I found as time has gone on here is that if you bump your shutter speed up a little bit, so say if I'm shooting at like 24 FPS and I bump it up to like 1/80, it just gives it like a little bit more of an actiony look. So I'm often doing that to like add some more, like less motion blur, and it makes it look more like action, I found. So, you know, give that a shot. Excuse me, take a drink of water here. And then as far as like ISO with my Sony a7 IV, my two base ISOs are 800 and 3200. So I was shooting at 800 during the daytime. As you can see here, like just there's no reason to have your ISO bumped up super high. And I didn't have an ND filter for my super wide lens, which I shot like a majority of the beginning of the show on. So I ended up cranking my ISO a little bit, or sorry, my f-stop to like probably like 5.6 maybe. And then I ended up cranking my like shutter speed to like 1/200 or 300 to just bring down the light because it was so bright. I just didn't have an ND filter for it yet, so not the end of the world, you know, but it is what it is. So yeah, like that's all the gear that I use. Again, all handheld, no gimbal, just using my two lenses. And then at the end of the night, I just bump my ISO to 3200, which basically is just my second base ISO, and then I keep my iris open as much as I can to let as much light in as possible. So that's more or less is like how I shoot with my camera. Can you play? I sure can. Definitely gonna play through the timeline here for you guys before we break down the edit. But yeah, if you guys have like any questions about that pre-production stuff or like how I went about shooting it, like let me know in the chat. Feel free to ask me any questions. Trying to be as organized as I can, so apologies if I'm jumping around at all. So yeah, let's get into the actual editing breakdown. I'm going to unmute these tracks here, and the audio shouldn't be too loud, but just like for anybody out there, it might be a good time to turn down your volume just in case. I think I have it muted, so we'll play through the timeline anyways. And then just bear with me. Going back to OBS real quick here just to see. I just don't want to break your guys' eardrums. This is crazy. Have you guys ever done like these streams before? Like, this is my first time and I feel like a boomer all over again. Like, this is just it's crazy trying to figure this stuff all out. So anyways, I'll play through it here just so you guys can see it from start to finish. You might not be able to hear it, you maybe can, but let's play through the video real quick. You guys can all take a look. Boom, there it is. So yeah, that's the video. I don't know if you guys could hear the music, but don't really need to, I guess. So yeah, that's the video. I'm pretty happy with it. It's been like a lot of fun to kind of like go over this edit and just revisit it. I would say, like, as far as timeline goes for how long it took me to create this video, I'd say it took me like 3 to 5 days. I spent a little bit more time on this than usual, just because I was having so much fun with it. So basically, to like break down the edit, I was gonna go from like start to finish here and just like really explain like what's going on in every shot. We're gonna be pretty much staying in Premiere. I've got a lot of After Effects sequences, as you guys can see. like all these right here, After Effects sequences. I have quite a few sprinkled throughout the video, so we'll try and go into those too. So yeah, at the beginning of the video, I knew I wanted it to be a cold start. So basically we throw the viewer straight into the experience of the show, just try and catch their attention. I think that's kind of what I've found is like pretty common nowadays in concert videos. It's just what I decided to do for this one. So we've got like a little bit of a zoom in right here, and then like a camera shake into this shot, and another camera shake into here. Not like a whole lot of keyframing going on, just like a little bit of a zoom out on each clip. And then I also have a film like overlay on the sides here with like a little bit of an 8mm damaged overlay, just to like add some texture to the beginning of it. And then over the entire video, I have a 35mm grain, which is just overlaid to add some more texture to the video, just so it doesn't look so like digital. So yeah, as we get through this section here, we're basically going into a speed ramped clip. So basically for these kind of shots, as you can see, it's like a left to right motion. So I will record, I'll basically do a left to right camera motion, like not super fast, just like, you know, like a normal speed. And then in post, I'll speed them up by like 300, 400, 500%. And then like add some motion blur to it. Just adds like a nice like quick whipping motion. So we're going from left to right here. And again, like I said, I just changed the speed of this clip, a few 100%. Added some motion blur in After Effects with like a radial blur. I think my amount was like 10 more or less. And because we're moving left to right here, these shots also follow that motion. So we're going left to right into this shot, which is left to right. And it happens pretty quick. Like this is 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 frames. So it's pretty quick. It's meant to just be like a quick, you know, smooth camera movement into the homie with his drink here, which I think I just have like a pretty basic keyframe zoom out going in here. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, actually I did a zoom in. So I just keyframed it at the beginning here. Brought this out. Whoa, there we go. I hate when Premiere does that. It's probably a way to fix it. I just don't know. So yeah, just a keyframe zoom in. I probably went up to like 140 here. And then I think I highlighted them, right clicked them and clicked easy in. Don't mind the truck going by. Sorry about that. And yeah, and I think I copy pasted that zoom onto this clip. So it was, you know, like the same kind of zoom in. So we've got her drink in right here. Again, it's just a zoom in with the transform tool, which for like all of my keyframes, I'm almost always using the transform tool because you can use motion blur with it. So that's just what I like to do. So I'll often set my shutter angle to like 180, which is like that middle ground, which I've talked about this on my channel like a million times. So sorry if I sound like a broken record, but 180 is that good middle ground, and like 360 is like that maximum amount. So that's always cool. And then so as we go through more here, I did a little zoom in to match. So we're doing a zoom here. I do a quick little zoom in at the beginning of this clip, as you can see here. And I actually used 2 transform tools, which I don't know why I did that. I just did. So I did a quick zoom in right here, keyframe that to 140, and then I brought it back down to 100. So we zoom in real quick, come back out to just the 100% frame. And at the very end, I added a quick zoom in, which is to match this crash zoom, which I did with my camera. So I basically have my camera on my tripod all the way in the back of the boat, and I have my zoom lens, my 24x70, and I just zoomed in a bunch, so it's like a crash zoom effect. So that was a shot that I put on my pre-production list that I knew I wanted to get. It just looks pretty cool. And we're zooming into, you know, a specific point, which is him on the stage. And then so we have just some like, we're zooming into him. So I wanted to show a shot of him up on stage. Then we start getting into the intimate shots with the crowd. Excuse me. So we have any clip that has layers duplicated like this. That's basically me adding halation or glow, which I use a halation preset of mine that I really like to use. Oops, I just changed that, so that's going to be a pain. Render that real quick. But yeah, anything that has duplicate layers above like that is just me adding halation or glow to the footage, which is super easy to do. I have a few presets for that, so I'm thinking about like just putting that up for you guys to download here sometime soon. I basically just wanted to add some glow and halation to the footage, just to like add some visual pizzazz, I guess. A lot of the footage was like, it wasn't warm, and so like when I was color grading this too, I ended up making the footage look way warmer. And I'll explain like my color grade pretty quickly as the video goes on here. But as you can see, like, this is my life. This is, I'm sure you guys have been through this too, but like, you know, you got to render sections, and when you're putting in all these effects, it can really add up. So yeah, just a nice shot there, just a nice camera shake to transition into that clip, which again, I'll be explaining more of this as we go on. I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit here. So yeah, we've got these guys, just some camera flashes with adjustment layers. Those are super easy to make. Basically just make an adjustment layer. So just like come down here, and then I think click on this guy. Yeah, adjustment layer, and then you can just trim it to like 5 frames. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Put an adjustment layer here above your footage, and then you can just grab a lumetri color tool, slap that on the adjustment layer, keyframe it, and then I bring it up to 1 here and then reset it. So it's just an easy way to do like a camera flash to transition your footage. And like I said, all of these have duplicate layers, so we have some halation going on the footage. And just like little things, so like you can see his movement with the drink is going down here. So the next shot, I'm already going down, but I also keyframed the motion a little bit, the position I should say. Sorry about the trucks, there's a lot of them going by. And like this sequence is in 3840 by 1632, which is like that ultra wide aspect ratio. So it gives me more room to like keyframe my footage up and down, which I really like doing. So I added in like a little bit more of a downwards motion. And then as you go here, you know, our hands starting up there, up here, and then going down. So it's all about just like trying to make those shots blend together. It might not seem like much, but the more you can like make the movement make sense, I just feel like it makes the sequences look smoother. Like these girls are, you know, going down as well. So there's like a lot of downward motion going on, if that makes any sense. And then I'm always trying to like sprinkle in shots, wide shots of the crowd in the boat, so people, like the viewers, remember like where we're at. Because if you show a lot of shots where you're like up close and personal with the attendees, I feel like it, you know, like people get super used to that close-up shot. But at the end of the day, like this is a big concert, so we still want people to know like this is a big event. So yeah, we're showing another one of him. So I had the shot just like at 1 scale length. Like I didn't mess with the scale at all, but like I kept it the way it was, and I just didn't really like it. So I think if I like delete this is just like really basic stuff. But yeah, like I just didn't like how it was just the frame. So I just cut it and then zoomed in a little bit with a flash to kind of help transition that. And then here's when we get into like the main transition of the video, I guess you could say. Basically, we are trying to use the glasses to like, yeah, so it's a glasses transition, so glasses mask transition, which I've done before, and I have a whole video talking about how to do that. So I would just suggest you guys to go check out that video. It's called like the easiest mask transition. It's super easy. I just don't want like spend like a bunch of time on that today. But like if you guys do want me to break that down real quick, like let me know in the chat, I guess. But yeah, so it's basically just a mask transition. You can see it here. So like basically I create a mask on the inside of the glasses frame, and I scale it in a bunch. So it's probably scaled up to like a few 100%, like right here. And then I keyframe it and bring it all the way back down to 100%. And then I just do an opacity keyframe to get rid of the original shots of this girl. Just change that, and then it zooms in like that. And I guess I can at least show you guys the After Effects project. Let me see if I can bring that up for you guys. Give me 1 second here. So I'm going to change my screen here. Adobe After Effects. Boom. Okay. Bear with me, guys. Appreciate you guys. So let's see here. This was Comp 6. So let's go to Comp 6. So my After Effects is loaded on this project, as you guys can see. So, long story short, basically it's just a freeze frame mask transition. So like basically I would duplicate this clip right here by pressing Command D, and then right click it, time freeze frame. And then I'll drag this all the way, and then drag this back out this way, and then I just cut that all the way right there. And then so basically on this clip right here is where you create the mask. If I open this up, I think this is pre-comped, but as you can see, I have my position and scale, and you can see the mask like around the glasses here. So I just zoomed in quite a bunch, and then we go all the way out here, and we just make sure to turn on the motion blur here, which always helps clean up those transitions big time. I think I was like set at 180 for this composition as far as the shutter angle goes. So yeah, just a super nice, easy mask transition. And then I used a camera shake here from my Shake Sauce plugin, which I really love using, by Brian Delamata. So shout out to him. Great plugin. Definitely suggest checking that out. We obviously have like a keyframe zoom out here, and then we cut to this guy. So let's go back into Premiere real quick. Yeah, so that's that. Like I said, there's a whole video on my channel on how to do that, so definitely go give that a look. So then we cut to this one right here, where she's pointing at the camera. And another thing with these edits too is like, you'll probably realize all of the cuts that I'm making are to movement or like whatever's going on in the frame. So like when she finally points to the camera here, that's when I cut. And I tried to wait like one extra frame so you can see that the finger is like more in focus. So like those extra frames where you're cutting definitely can matter. So that's always like, you know, just a way of how I'm cutting my footage. We've got the adjustment layers here for the camera flashes. And then because this clip right here had some rotation to it, and that was me just like kind of rotating that way, I added a rotation keyframe to this clip so that it matched the angle at which this clip is at. And you can see that on this clip. Yeah, I put on a transform tool, zoomed in a little bit because when you turn the footage, you're going to get like those black bars. So I zoomed in to 110 until I didn't have those black bars. Rotated to 12 and then ended up resetting it to 0, dragging these keyframes out. Same thing with the scale, so those clips match each other as far as the rotation goes. Nothing special going on here. This is just more zoomed in with my zoom lens, just trying to get like different compression shots. And then we've got this really cool spinning shot, which I'm happy to break down super quick for you guys because it's really easy to do. So I really wanted it to spin around his hand, which I thought looked pretty cool. So this is comp 20. So let's take you guys back into comp 20 here. Comp 20. Boom. All right, so looks like I have this pre-comp. Let's see. Let me just open this up real quick. Yeah. Might not be able to show you guys if I can't get back to it. Well, that's okay, because I can basically just show you guys exactly what I did. And that's the thing, like, I'm still not an expert in After Effects, and like, if you guys know how to get back to that original timeline, let me know. But yeah, like I said, I'm still not an expert. I just know how to like link my footage dynamically and then just work from it from there. But basically all we're doing is we're just keyframing the rotation. So I would basically keyframe the rotation here, bring it out, and then I would set this to like 1, which is just one whole rotation around. And then you'd see the keyframes down here. I would just highlight the keyframes and press Control F9, or on my Mac it's FN9, which would just ease the keyframes. So you're just doing a one whole rotation. And then I just added some motion blur as well here, I think, on this adjustment layer. Yeah. So I created an adjustment layer and put on the radial blur tool here, and then set this to fading zoom and set the amount to 10%. So that was just an easy transition to do, honestly. All right, so back to Premiere Pro here. Boom. Now, in a lot of these shots, I have keyframing going on. So for this one, we camera flash into this one. And like, keyframing is really easy. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time like going over that with you guys. I'm sure you guys all know that. But like, if you don't, you know, I'm just adding keyframes to add movement into my clips. So as we zoom in here, I easy outed this keyframe. If I open up this nested sequence, you'll be able to see. So I basically transform tool, keyframe the scale, and then if I bring this out, I highlighted both my keyframes here, and then I right clicked and set it to easy out. And then you can click and drag these bars right here So I just drag this all the way to the right, which will just add like a slower, so it won't zoom in like super fast right away, and then towards the end it picks up the speed and how fast it zooms in. So it's like, I think it's a way of adding anticipation with keyframes is how I would look at it. So we zoom in real quick, just a lot of quick movement going on, so a little zoom out here. And then this is just me whipping my camera. So I just use that shot to build into this one where she has the chips, and then she brings them down. We cut into another shot of the DJ here, Dan, shout out Dan, which I added a keyframe position. So I moved the clip up, keyframed it, brought it out a few frames, and then reset that so it matches the chips going down. And then you've got the up to down motion there. And so for these ones, there wasn't like a whole lot going on. Just trying to think here, because these are After Effects compositions. Just a camera shake at the beginning there. And then I use this clip of her twirling her hands to transition. So she's doing like a whipping motion. So I thought it made sense to like transition into the DJ table, transition or clip here. So that was pretty cool to do. And then like for this one, I changed the anchor point in the scale. So definitely try this out sometime. So basically I set my anchor point pretty close to where the center of this turntable is. So like if I turn this off, that's what the clip is. Like that's just the straight clip without any like transform on it. And it still looks pretty cool. Like, yeah, that looks awesome. But if I turn this back on, I want to do like a zoom out. So I set the anchor point, keyframed that in the scale, and then I basically go to one frame before the end of the clip, and I make sure that that anchor point is like pretty close to where the DJ turntable is still. And I also did like a zoom in, as you can see, or zoom out, sorry. So I zoomed into 185, brought it all the way out to like 140. So that's just like an easy way. And you can see these blue dots, you can see them moving as the clip goes on there. So it's just like an easy way to add some motion and movement to that clip. And then we have, we're cutting here. Like this whole sequence is basically just him up on the stage, and it's right before like the music drops again. So I wanted it to like, be super energetic. Then we build into this shot, which is like one of the important shots of the edit, I would say, because you're up there with the DJ, and then you're like panning to the crowd. And this is one of my favorite shots to get. It's super easy to get. So I'm often just like basically letting my autofocus do its thing. So I'm focused on him, pan my camera down, and we have the crowd right there. I think I put on a warp stabilizer here just to kind of help smooth out any of the movement there. And I also keyframed the position a little bit, as you can see, and rotated the clip so that it was like horizontally level. So now we see the crowd. So this is pretty much where I'm like, all right, time to dive into the crowd and just focus on them. So nothing special going on here. This is a nice whip transition, which I can show you guys how to do. It's like an easy way to cheat whip transition. So this is my second comp. So let me go back into After Effects for you guys here. Boom. It'll be After Effects. Cool. And then we're going to go back to number 2. So yeah, this is actually pretty simple. So all I'm doing is we get to this point. So I do a quick little keyframe zoom out, as you can see. So I'm at 130, keyframe that, reset to 100. And I think I just easy eased that and then moved the curves a little bit, as you can see. And then as we get right here is where I start messing with the rotation. So I basically keyframe it and dragged it to the left, I'm pretty sure. And then when you do that, you're gonna see like black. So if I turn this off, you'll see it's black because we're basically moving the clip out of the frame. So I use this tool called the motion tile inside of After Effects. And then I will turn the width and height, the output to 300, and click mirror edges. And then it basically just mirrors the clip. So it's like an easy way to cheat a whip transition, like super easy to do. And then like we cut into comp number 16 here, which is right here. And don't let this, like all these keyframes, don't let it scare you. It's like pretty simple stuff. But did a quick little zoom in, as you can see. So keyframed it, zoom in to 140. And I have a camera shake here, which I built the keyframes right here. So we're keyframing the rotate, position, and brightness. And again, this is through the camera shake plugin Shake Sauce, which I like using. So that's super simple. And then we have like a zoom in right there at the end. And then we can cut back into Premiere Pro here. Boom, boom. Yeah, and like let me know if you guys have any questions as I go along here. Let me know if you need me to like slow down or speed up. I'm like trying to feel out the pacing of this. Again, it's like my first live stream, so hope you guys are enjoying it. All right, so here is where we cut into some speed ramping. So started here. Let me open this up so you guys can see. I'm sure you guys have all seen speed ramping before, but basically right click this, or sorry, right click FX, time remapping speed, and then I'll set my points and then drag these bars up or down. So I went to, let's see, 40% here because this is shot at 60 FPS, so I can slow it down to 40 FPS on a 24 FPS timeline. So it's fast, then slow, and then as she comes at the end here, we speed it up again. So if I close out of both of these guys, you can see it speed ramps here, and then it's all about matching the shot's movement, which I'm doing all the time in my shots. So she's going up with the hand, and then she's going up with her arm as well, so they kind of seamlessly transition together. And then we do another speed ramp at the end here. Speed ramp quickly, and then slow it down as she comes into, as she whips her hair here. And then we speed ramp it again at the very end. And you can see like I have halation here. You can see around the edges here. I think if I like zoom in a bunch here, you can see it. Yeah, you can see like there's just like a red halation around the edges of her body. So that's the halation on these duplicated layers. It's really not that hard to do, honestly. Like you can basically just duplicate the layer, put it on top, and then you can grab a channel blur, turn up that red blurriness, and then we just want to change the blend mode to lighten, and then you can get like a nice halation to it. So then we cut into this sequence. Nothing crazy going on here, just a camera shake at the beginning and a flash, and then we're matching her whipping of the hair to the arm going up in the frame there. So we go from left to right, arms going up. So it's all just like building around the movement going on in the frame. And then as we get to this clip, I'm using the hands coming over the frame to seamlessly transition into this clip, which for this one, I just tracked her nose. So this is comp 10 here. So let's go into comp 10. Let me just set this to application, or sorry, display capture, so I don't have to keep going back and forth with you guys. So yeah, so now we're here. Sorry, let me take another look at that. 10. So we're gonna go to comp 10 here. So this is a really fun effect to do. So it's basically you're tracking to a certain point in the clip. So basically I brought my clip into After Effects, and to do that, you just have to right click on your clip and then go to replace with After Effects composition. It'll bring it in here for you. And then I go into my tracker tool right here with my clip selected and click stabilize motion, and it'll bring up a point. And then basically what you want to do is just like, I set the point to her nose, and I would just press play, and it would go through the whole clip and track her nose. Then I would just click apply and confirm that. So then basically the frame moves around her nose. You can see it just kind of tracks it. And the reason I did that is because I just thought it looked cool in this shot, but it also, the shot was like kind of framed weird, and I wanted it to like really be focused on her face. So I just tracked it to her nose, as I said, added a camera shake at the very beginning, and a little bit of a zoom. And like you can see, I think if I open this up, if I zoom this out to 100%, you'll see that there's black bars around. And that's the issue with doing this, is you have to readjust your framing when you do that most of the time, because you have to zoom in and have that extra frame around it. So I had to zoom into 125, and then I would play through the whole thing and make sure there was no black points showing up. So that was how I did that one. And then we're basically, because the face is like center frame here, where I'm cutting is I'm trying to like make sure the faces kind of match up as far as the framing. As you can see, they're not like perfect, like she's looking right here and then she's looking left, but just more so to like help seamlessly transition those clips. And And then this is number 17. So you can see if I play through it, we have like a zoom right there and like another hit. So it's kind of like bouncing with her, which is super, super easy to do. That's on number 17. So let's go to 17 here. So basically all I did was I had to zoom out real quick. So 110 to 0 here, keyframe. And then I would keyframe right here, right before she like hits her head with her hand. And then I would zoom this into 110. And then, yeah, 110. And then another hit. Same thing throughout this. I'm actually a little confused because it pulses and goes back to its original. Oh, I see what I did. 110, 100. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, more or less. So we're just basically just going from 100 to 110. 110 to 100, 100 to 110 to 100. So it's basically like doing a quick pulsing, so it just matches up with her head. She goes to the right there, then she goes to the left. So it's just an easy way to like add some more like natural impact, I guess, to the footage, I guess you could say. And then so she whips her head right here. So then we obviously use a clip of someone whipping their head right as well. This chick was awesome. She was singing throughout the whole night on that prop microphone, which was really funny. So yeah, we're just matching the movement there, and then we're cutting to another shot of this homie with the good old velvet jacket on, doing his thing. And then again, as I said earlier, we're cutting to the action. So when she comes in here, cut, boom. Now we're on to the next shot. We're trying to match up the faces kind of right here. So boom. And then she's coming into frame. As you can see, I have another film burn around the edges of my clip here, which that is just set to overlay. So she's coming into frame here. And then I wanted to create some motion around her bringing these glasses down. So this is comp 8. Let me go to comp 8. Here we go. Yeah, I'm just making sure the stream's still good. So we're going to comp 8 here. So I actually, when I was filming this, let me see if I can find this clip. This is 3701. So let's go 3701. So as you can see, yeah, she was great. So I was walking and I saw her put her glasses on, and I was like, yo, can you do that one more time? And she was like, oh, sure. So then I started recording, and then she did it. And I was like, oh yeah, I already know what kind of shot I'm going to make out of this. I basically just tracked the glasses going down using that same tracker tool. So I would just click stabilize motion, and then my points started up here, and I tried to line it up with like the center of the glasses right here. And so it's tracked all the way down to her face. So it goes from like top to bottom. So it matches that movement of her putting the glasses down. And then we just turn on motion blur to help like smooth the movement out a little bit. And yeah, that just looks really cool. I'm really happy with that shot. And then let's see. So I was towards the end of the video editing this video, and I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to end this. Like I was kind of running out of footage as far as like the edit I was trying to make. So, oh, we got a dog barking. Stream's still good. Okay. Your work is just incredible. Oh, thanks, Lulia. Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. Thank you for watching and tuning in. Yeah, so basically the head flip here. So this is speed ramped. So it's fast at the beginning and then slows down right here. And I cut when she brought her hand down right into this frame. And you can't really see it because the film burn kind of covers it. But basically, this is in 26. Let me go to 26 real quick. So yeah, I had this shot and I just did some keyframing, basic stuff, and I added some radial blur just to like spice it up a little bit, which I'm often adding to like a lot of my videos. It can be pretty heavy on your computer, so just keep that in mind. But I wanted to create a clip. So she's going left to right here, whipping the hair, and I wanted to create another clip where I was going left to right. So this is just a basic shot right here where I was going left to right, and I was filming it like a normal speed, way slower than this. So I just sped it up by like maybe like 200, 300%. Added some motion blur as well. and I just didn't really like how it looked, but I was so deep in that shot already. So I was like, how can I like hide or like just clean up the shot a little bit? So I just used a film burn to kind of like, I don't know, transition it and make it not so like, I just didn't like it. And I liked it how it looked with the film burn. And honestly, now that I'm watching back at this, like the film burn kind of is like overlaid with the actual overlay I already have. Like this doesn't really like make a lot of sense, I guess, but who cares? You know, it's like whatever. It's just a film burn. So we go from left to right, same thing, into a shot of me filming from left to right. So coming into frame of her moving her hair. So it's all about, like I said, I've said it a million times already. Use the motion in your footage to build your edit around that. At least that's how I go about doing it. It just helps your clips transition from one another way more smoothly. So that's just like a big part of how I edit. And then I had to give these ladies their time to shine. Like these ladies were so hilarious. Nothing crazy going on, you know, just a little camera shake and a quick zoom in there at the very end. That's really easy to do. So like if you go to, let's go to my 27 comp. Try this on your footage. If you're trying to just make like a super easy zoom in, just bring up transform or whatever, and then wherever it is, these are my effects. Let me close that back. Here we go. With my scale. Just literally keyframe it like a few frames before the end. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 frames before the end of the clip. So keyframe it at 100, and then I'll normally set my point right here, and then keyframe it to whatever you want. So I think I went to 135 here. So like you want to do an amount that's kind of high because it'll make the motion blur more intense. So 135, and then just make sure to drag the keyframe out all the way and turn on the motion blur. Actually, I don't even have that on, which is crazy. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, it's not on. So, and then I would just highlight the keyframes, you know, FN, F9. That would easy ease them for me. And then here, you know, I just have like a little bit of a zoom out going on, and you can see I changed the rotation of the clip, because if I set it back to 0, it was like a little off kilter, as you can see. So then if I reset that, it's more horizontally straight. So like little changes like that I'm often doing to my footage just to like clean up the footage a little bit more. So there's that. And then check the chat here. Yo, what's up, Jay? Thanks for tuning in from India, man. That's crazy. You know, I actually have a lot of people that have said hello from India. Actually, like I have a lot of viewers that are hitting me up and are like, yo, I'm from India. So that's super cool. If you're from India, like that's awesome. I actually grew up, funny enough, watching like a lot of like barber content in India, because I always just thought it was super cool. And it's kind of like ironic now because I work, you know, like right above a barber shop more or less. So back to this. So yeah, we go from this shot to this shot. So I really love this one. This was actually just some B-roll I was getting because I was like trying to just get some like vlog footage, I guess you could say. And I was just like, damn, this looks so cool. You got the sky. You can see the city line out that way, which I just thought looked super cool. And I basically just added a keyframe to the position. Super easy. So if I like reset this, so this is the frame right here. And then to see like the wiggle room I have, you can see I can move this up or down a bunch. I moved the rotation a little bit, but I basically just keyframed it so you can see the frame is moving, just to add some more movement into that clip. And I'm basically just showing these because I'm trying to show like we're out on a boat. It's the end of the night, and that was like how the edit was always supposed to come together. It was going to be beginning of the edit was during the daytime, and the end of the edit was during the nighttime. So we're getting to the nighttime here, just like trying to show the landscape of the water and the city and the boat. And then we cut again one more time to the homie up on the stage. Really energetic shot here. So I actually have like a camera shake going on here. So this is comp 28. Let's go to 28. So this is just like a straight camera shake. So it's just going to keep shaking. If I turn that off, you can still see it. Let's see here. I think I need to open this up and turn these guys off. Boom. So that's a shot. I actually did like a speed ramp and slowed it down here towards the end, actually, it looks like. But but it was just like super basic. Like this is just like a still shot. So I was like, why don't I just add some, camera shaking to it? So boom, now we have a camera shake. Again, Shake Sauce, great plugin. So then we cut from him on the stage. I still wanted that to be like the setting, so the stage. So we cut out from him going crazy to zooming out here. And then we have a flash to end the video. Transition it out. We've got the title sequence here, which this is actually just a pack I got from Acid Bite, I believe. So it's a Gimme Gimme Disco show with my logo, my company, Nickolaas Media. So yeah, that's pretty much like the video from start to finish, just kind of breaking down like the easy stuff as far as like editing. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Yo, what's up, HZRM Video? Thanks for the hearts, man. Appreciate that. How did you find your first clients from Lulia Lorgu? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. That's a good question. My first clients, I basically... it's a long story, but I used to borrow camcorders from someone I knew, like really cheap camcorders, and I would just hit up people that were coming to my venue here in Vermont, which is Higher Ground. It's pretty small. I think it's like 1,000, maybe a little bit more. And I would hit people up. I basically look for shows, look up the show. So like for Gimme Gimme Disco, this is a client I've been working with for years now. They came here to Burlington, and I went to their website and I found like their contact page, and I basically reached out to them and was like, yo, how do I would love to shoot a video for free for you guys. Like, doesn't cost anything. Just like super easy like that. And was like, yeah, I'll do it for free. Like no strings attached. And they were pretty much like, yeah, like sure. Why not? Like we don't have, they didn't have anything to lose. I was just a random guy just trying to shoot shows. And that was like 2.5, 3 years ago. So I just went and shot shows for free. And that's kind of how I started out shooting shows just in general, was shooting them for free. And then as you build your portfolio, you get more opportunity. So it definitely took like a while. I shot for free for months. Like I didn't make a single dollar from a concert shoot for maybe 6 months. It took me a while to like find my own like creative flow as to like how I want to create them. And it's actually funny, even before I had a camcorder, I would film shows with like GoPros. I bought like a really cheap GoPro. And sorry about the fire engine coming by. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, but yeah, I would just use a GoPro and just film concerts at the venue and like throw together these trash edits. And like I still have them uploaded on my YouTube channel, but they're definitely privated, and I'm not going to be touching those anytime soon. They're not going to see the time of day anytime soon. So yeah, that's kind of just like where I started and like how I started out. So it's just about like doing work for free and not being upset about not making money. And then as I did it for free, started making money, saved up, bought my first camera, and then that's when my portfolio really started to grow, and I felt more comfortable with shooting, just videos. Don't mind my recommended down here, my ASMR. I don't know about you guys. I got no shame in admitting this stuff. I listen to ASMR all the time. It's super relaxing. And when I'm editing for like hours, sometimes I just need something like relaxing in the background to like ease my mind, keep me grounded. Because like when I'm editing, I'll sometimes sit down for like 3 hours and will not move. And then I get through it, like I'm 3 hours deep in editing, and I'm like, I can't feel my legs. My mind is like, I'm just like in such a creative rut. I get up and do like 20 push-ups, or whatever, just to like get the blood flowing again. I'm always having to like just keep moving. If I stay still, I'm just gonna go crazy. So yeah, anyways, sorry, I'm just getting off track here. So I hope that answered your question, Lulia. Yeah, those kind of questions bring me back to the very beginning. I'm pretty humble. Oh, we've got like an infinite, I even see on the stream, we got like an infinite thing going here. This is super trippy. Sorry if it's trippy for you guys. Great video. I appreciate every moment. Much love. Thank you, Flory. Really appreciate that, man. Jay, in your opinion, what is the best app for mobile? Let's see here. Best app for mobile is, if you're talking about like editing, I don't really use like a lot of apps on my phone. Like I think people use like CapCut. I think that's a thing. So that's always cool. But honestly, like I'm not 100% sure. So sorry about that if I didn't have the answer you were looking for. Um, Anthony, thanks for the knowledge, bro. Of course, Anthony. Thanks for watching, brother. We're still not done yet. We've still got some stuff to go over real quick, but yeah, ASMR is great. I love listening to that stuff. Appreciate your advice. Thank you, man. Appreciate you watching and asking questions. And let me get off that so we stop the infinite cycle. Um, so yeah, we've kind of gone over through the edit. So I just want to quickly go over the color grade. So as far as how I color grade my concert footage, I use phantom LUTs, which are just like RE conversion LUTs more or less. So I normally will make an adjustment layer and put that above my entire timeline. And then anything underneath that will have the color grade applied to it. And then once that's applied, I will go into each clip individually and make changes. As you can see here on the right, I will make specific changes to the curves, which I did a lot in this footage. If you're curious which one I used for this shoot, I used Utopia. I think for a majority of this, yeah, for all of this, I used the Phantom A7S3 Legacy Utopia LUT. They're not free, but definitely worth investing in if you ask me. They give you great looks, so I'm super happy with them. And then the specific color grading. So like, let me see if I can find a clip here. Yeah. So, okay. So this clip, so I'm going from daytime to nighttime. So my white balance is set to daytime, and I actually didn't change it throughout the shoot at all. And when I get to nighttime, actually, that's when I normally change to auto white balance because it's just always changing. So like up until nighttime, I'm at daytime white balance. And then once we get to nighttime, that's when I change to auto white balance. So I'm just checking my phone real quick. Basically, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I'm shooting in daytime white balance, and then as we get to nighttime, I'm pretty much on auto white balance because it's always changing. I've asked quite a lot of videographers who shoot concerts, like big concerts, which I'm trying to do in the future for sure. They use auto white balance too because the lighting is just always changing. You can't like compensate for it all the time. So on this shot, I had to change it up quite a bit. So if I turn off like a majority of the color grade, let's just turn it off. Boom. Yeah, look how flat that looks. That looks pretty terrible. Like it needs contrast, it needs more color. So like on, off, on, off. You can see the difference. So it's super cool, and just like the thing with the Utopia LUT too is that it also adds like blue to the shadows. So I probably could have just used like the natural like neutral LUT for it, but I like the Utopia look. I just feel like it looks really cool. So I turn that back on. I basically am adding a lot more warmth and contrast to the image. So if I go into my curves, I always start with my basic curve here. Let me just check the chat in case you guys say anything else. Oh man, let me answer these questions real quick. Ezra Bennett, on average, how long do you spend editing a recap video? Great question. It depends on the video I'm making, but I would say a few days. Back then, when I used to shoot for free, I would try and get the edits out like as quick as possible because I was just super excited. And I realized over time that like I would shoot a show, finish at 2 a.m., go home and edit until almost 6 a.m. in the morning, just because I was like just so hungry for it and I just wanted to edit. And don't get me wrong, like there's nothing wrong with doing that, and like I still do that here and there. But I try and give myself more leeway. So when I'm working with clients now, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna need at least like 1 or 2 weeks before I can deliver this video back to you, just to give myself some time, because my schedule is really busy now with like other stuff in life, so I have to balance that all out. So I'd say majority of the time 3 to 5 days, maximum like 1 week, but I often tell my clients like 1 to 2 weeks because I know I'll finish it in 2 weeks. And so I like to think that if I get the video to them like earlier than that, they'll be happy and be excited to see a video. So I just give myself like extra wiggle room. So yeah, 3 to 5 days, week at max. Yo, bro, I'm using Premiere 2022 and I tried applying Sapphire effects to the adjustment layer and add keyframes, but it doesn't animate. Help. Unfortunately, I'm not super up to date with Sapphire. I've heard a lot about it and that's a great like plugin, but I don't really know a lot about it. I hope my audio isn't like duplicating by me watching this either. I have it muted, so I'm not really sure, man. Sorry, I can't be of help with Sapphire, but I hope you can figure that out for sure. Okay, so back to color grading. So this is what I did in a lot of my shots. So I'll always start normally in my curves. So I'll either correct my white balance real quick. I click this and find a white point. But then I'll go into my curves and I'll start bringing down the shadows. So I'll make like 3 points, bring down the shadows, which will bring some more contrast into the image. And then I'll bump the highlights, which, bring more contrast into the image. So kind of messing with this. This is my like starting point. And then I will go into my reds, which for this, I knew I wanted to add warmth into the shadows. Excuse me. So basically, I would create a point here, and I would bump this up. And you can see it adds red into the shadows, but you have to be, mindful how much you create. Without it, that's without a bump in the shadows for the red, and then that's with. You can see it adds like a little bit of warmth to it. Hope you guys can see that enough. And then for the greens, if I turn the greens off, you can see there's like a pretty heavy green hue to the footage. So if I turn those curves back on, it gets rid of some of the greens in the shadows and the highlights. That was like, I really didn't like how that looked without like all that green cast. I just don't like that. So got rid of it. What else did I do? There we go. And then on the blue, I also, let's see what this looks like without the blue. Whoops. I want the green. Let's reset the blue. Yeah, you can see it's also super blue here, which is probably just from like the Utopia lot I'm using. So I'm kind of just doing that to myself. So I'm just correcting for it. Cutting out some of the blue out of the shadows so everybody doesn't look so blue. That's without the curve in the blues. And then that's with the curve. So just subtracting blues out of there. So I kind of repeated that process for a majority of the clips. I didn't really do a whole lot in like the color wheels and HSL secondary. I'm normally trying to stay in my curves and basic correction. I also warmed up the clip a little bit by just bumping up the temperature, adding some saturation to the clip, so 120. So when I'm putting the LUT on, I don't touch the saturation on it. It's just a conversion LUT pretty much. And then if I want to add any saturation, I'll add that on the clip specifically. So I've got that to 120, little bump of the highlights. So let me see if I can find another clip here just to talk about color grading a little bit more. That one's cool. I did something on my timeline which is messing with my rendering. As you can see, it's all red now. Let's see here. So yeah, let's go over like also where can I find the best sound effects? I feel like it's so hard to find the best of them. That's a good question too. I actually just started using artlist.io. I was seeing, I don't know about you guys, but I was getting artlist ads like every single day on my YouTube videos. And I was like having nightmares about this. I swear to God, like I would watch a YouTube video and just be like artlist.io, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sick of it. So I was like, you know what, fine, I'll buy it. So I switched from Envato to Artlist, and I gotta say I'm really, really happy that I switched, and I'm definitely not going back to Envato. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it, but I feel like the quality of the stuff I'm getting from Artlist already is like 10 times better, like way, way better. So like the music, sound effects, all of it, it's just really nice. Everything in this video was, as far as sound effects and music, was from Artlist. So also, do you charge your clients? If so, how do you charge? Yeah, I mean, I charge all my clients. Obviously starting out doing stuff for free makes sense, but yeah, always charging my clients. It depends. And I feel like it's like a touchy subject for some people, but I'll be as honest and with being comfortable with what I'm saying. I started out making recap videos between a $500 to $1,500 range. And it really depended on what I was doing. If I was working with like close friends, I would oftentimes like, try and work within their budget. But I like, when I was first starting out, especially, like I would start on that lower end, and I think like the cheapest recap video I did was like $100. Like that was one of the first events that I did, was like it was for $100. I was super happy with it. And you also have to consider too, when you're starting out, like the money is great and like you deserve that money for that work you're putting in. But another part of it too is like on social media, hopefully you can expand your portfolio and then it'll just keep building. So I was all right with not getting paid like a ton of money in the beginning. Um, and so yeah, in the beginning I was working between that like 500 to, or sorry, 250. What did I say, like 250 to 500 or 1,000, something like that. It's always changing. But nowadays, I'm trying to charge between like, at least I'm trying to bracket myself between like 1,000 and like $5,000. But that's for like really big events, and I haven't really shown like a ton of those on my YouTube channel before. I definitely want to in the future, but those are for like big events where I'm making like videos that are minutes long and big clients, that have that budget. So it really depends. Not every video I'm making is bringing in that type of money. Like a lot of people just don't have that money in that space nowadays to pay creators like that. At least in my experience. So I feel pretty lucky to work with the clients that I do. Um, and yeah, like talking about money, it's like I think it's an uncomfortable topic for a lot of people, but I think in like this genre of making this type of like content, it's important for us to not sell ourselves short. Like there's so many, like I'm sure so many of you guys out there like maybe at times feel like I know I'm like worth this much, but I can only get this. Like at least that's kind of how I've felt before, and I definitely try not to sell myself short. I've done this for years now, so I'm super confident and I know I can deliver, so it's not really a problem. But yeah, don't sell yourself short, guys. Like if you know your worth, ask for what you want within reason. Go by the industry standard if you can. Connect with your friends, see what they're charging, and then work your way from there. So hope that kind of answered your question. Real quick, do you use gimbals, monopod, or handheld? If handheld, you turn off all stabilization, as I find my footage doesn't look right. Handheld. Yeah, so I do have an RS3 gimbal. I don't have it on me, but if I grab my camera here, so I talked about it at the beginning of the video or the stream here, but I use a Sony A7 IV, my 24x70. The 7.4 has in-body stabilization, so I do turn that on if I'm doing handheld. And then it's also just about like having a steady hand. So I'm almost always, supplementing my camera with like 3 points of contact is what they call it. But I'm always trying to keep like two hands on my camera, keep it as steady as I can. Just movements like that a lot, just following the flow of whatever's going on. I'm oftentimes like locking my knees a lot and going from like heel to toe, you'll hear, just to like smooth out like pacing forward or backwards. So yeah, I do use stabilization. Always. I keep it on throughout the entire shoot pretty much if I'm shooting handheld. Yeah, it definitely helps. If I'm using a gimbal, I'm not doing it in environments where it's like super crowded, because if it's super crowded and I'm using a gimbal, it's just like it can be kind of like confined. Sorry, just couldn't think of the word there. It's just tough to move around with a gimbal in like a crowded event. So I just prefer to do it handheld, and that's how I've been doing it for years. But I still like using gimbals. Don't get me wrong. I still use my RS3. Hey, bro, is there a reason why you're editing with MP4s instead of ProRes files? So I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not like entirely educated on ProRes files, but I shoot on my Sony A7 IV, so they're all MP4 files. And I just record them straight to my SD card onto my camera. Like I'm not using a external monitor for like ProRes. I think that's how that works. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I know like I'm hoping to get an FX3 in the future, and I know like that can record ProRes, I think, or like you can get a monitor that brings the ProRes into there. So yeah, that's kind of how I go about it. So definitely like feel free to educate me a little bit in the chat if that is not how it works. So yeah, just work with MP4 files straight out of my camera. So back to color grading real quick. Apologies if I'm jumping around, guys. Bear with me. So let's just color grade some like nighttime footage. So here we go. So for these clips, I'm shooting at 3200 ISO, and I have a on-camera light, so like a DigiPower. My buddy AJ, who was with me, actually came in clutch because mine died. I had a super small one. My small one's like maybe yay big. I need to buy a bigger one. I haven't done it. I turn on that light and use that big light to light up subjects like this because it's just not bright enough. So that's how these guys are all lit up so nicely. And then I make sure to match that white balance of the light to my actual camera if I can. So color grading these shots, it's not really all that complicated, but I think this one's probably like a good one right here. Actually, it looks like I might have not done any color grading to this shot. Yeah, I mean, I did a bump in the curves here just to kind of add some contrast, but I didn't really do a whole lot to this shot, so maybe that's not a good example. Let's try this one. Let you color. Yeah, so you can see like I did a bump in the curves for the contrast, added some more saturation in. Yeah, like I said, it's all about just like color grading depending on like what your clip is. So this shot, if I turn off the color grade here, yeah, I mean, look how, start like maybe right here to see it. Yo, shout out this girl too. I'll have to show you guys some more raw footage, just some cool stuff. But if I turn off the color, you can see it's super flat, blue in the shadows, which again is probably my own fault just from the LUT I use, but whatever. So turn that on, add some more curves. So these to add contrast to the image, bump red into the shadows. So that's without it. If I turn it back on, you can see it's red, more red in the shadows and a little bit in the highlights, I think. Green, we cut out the green. If we turn off the green, yeah, I mean, look how green that gets without the curves here. There's just a ton of green in it. And then we have blue. If I turn this off, yeah, you can see there's a bunch more blue there. So then I just cut out quite a bit of those colors to try and like make the footage match each other. Same thing. Did the same kind of thing here. If I turn that off, I mean, look how flat and like it just does not look good. Also, quick little thing. I'm normally editing with proxies. Proxies are huge. If you guys don't know what proxies are, basically you can just like click on your footage, highlight it all, and then just create proxies. And I use Cineform at medium resolution. Basically, it's just going to make editing way faster for you. I used to not do that when I first started because I didn't know it was a thing. And I was just taking forever to like make my videos. Like it would take forever to load stuff. And I started using proxies and my workflow increased like tenfold. It was crazy. So always working with proxies, but if I'm color grading, I'm often turning them off so I get like the full resolution of the clip and I can see like how the actual grade's looking. So that's with the grade on. So if I like, I don't know if you can see the difference. On, off. There's definitely a difference when you have the proxy on and off. So I always turn off the proxies when I'm color grading just to make sure it actually looks good, and then I'll turn it back on. So let's see here. Go back to the chat real quick. Yeah, we're chilling. Okay. Appreciate all you guys tuning in today. Seriously, like each one of you guys. My first stream. Really appreciate you guys. Like I expected to get like 1 or 2 viewers, so it's cool to see like 16 of you guys in here. So what else can we talk? So I just kind of want to quickly run through some of the raw footage as well and just explain shots that I always try and get when I'm filming concerts. So this is Dan. Dan's the DJ. When I get to concerts, I'm almost always trying to connect with the DJ and people that I need to make sure that I I have shot ideas. So I'll come to the DJ. I went to Dan. I was like, yo, bro, I've got a few shot ideas today. One of them was the over the railing shot, if I can find that here. Because like I said earlier, in my pre-production process, I'm always trying to go in with some kind of plan for shots that I want. So yeah, this is pretty darn close to it, I think. Let's see. Well, actually, you know what? First, let's just talk about being intimate with attendees real quick, which I talked about earlier. But so here's the thing. Don't be afraid to interact with people when you're shooting concerts. This was the first shot of the night I got. So this is actually when I was traveling. I probably shouldn't do this when I was driving, but whatever. So this was the first shot of the whole show. And these girls were just, posing in the back. And I was like, oh, I could just get a cool panning in shot. And I was testing my color grade. This was the first shot I took on my new 70-60 millimeter lens. I was like, oh, man, I got to see what this looks like. Looked pretty cool. But I was like just testing the grade. And then as we move throughout the show, like we have where he actually announces like the show is starting. So he normally does like a countdown. And that's when the music gets going. So I'm not normally shooting like a whole lot at the beginning of the shows because the energy isn't fully there yet. Like the crowd is still getting warmed up. They just got started into the music. So I'm normally like waiting, like, I don't know how long, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes for the crowd to like really get warmed up to the music. You can see everybody out here on the boat. Like everyone's pretty stationary. Like no one's going crazy. Like people are dancing, but no one's going all that crazy. So I'm often trying to like wait. And then, yeah, Dan's going hard up here. Shout out Dan. He's always breaking it down. I've worked with Dan a few times now at these shows. Great guy. So yeah, as the show went on, that's when I started getting down into the crowd and getting shots like these. They're dressed up. I just love that look. So as you can see, I'm keeping my camera steady, but close enough to where the focus is really all on the subject. Adding some motion, just flowing. Like she brings her hands up here, so I bring my camera up. This shot right here. This was at the beginning of the video, which I'll decrease this right here. This shot right here, boom, let's zoom into the timeline. I'm using 1 and 2 now. Shout out to Dwayne, my boy Dwayne, for putting me on to new hotkeys for Premiere. Definitely makes it way easier. So basically we're going from left to right here, and look how slow this shot is. Boom. It's so slow compared to the actual timeline where we're going way faster. So as I said earlier, I would take this clip, speed it up by a few 100%, and then I actually horizontally flipped it because as you can see, I'm going right to left. And then I needed to go from left to right. So I would put a horizontal flip on this. That way it was going the correct direction. So we're still getting intimate shots here. Getting the shots. And like, this is something that I go through all the time when I'm shooting shows. They thought it was a photo. Like I seriously go through that like 5 to 10 times a show. Like, oh, can you take a photo? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I'll say it's only a video camera when I can take both photos and videos, which I did for both this show or for this show. But I'm like, oh, it's just a video camera. And they're like, oh, okay. And then people sometimes catch on. I have to be like, oh, it's a video camera. And then they start dancing. So that's something I have to do all the time is be like, yo, it's a video camera. I'm not taking photos. These guys, I went up to these guys. I was like, yo, give me something, guys. Like, come on, give me something. And they started dancing, feeling it. Let's go. Some cool, like, intimate moments there. This guy was feeling it for sure. See, I'm just flowing. I'm just flowing with him. He's moving his feet. So I'm like, all right, let's start at the feet, work our way up. He's flowing. Just moving the camera, adding some movement, keeping him centered in the frame. Oh, the autofocus just is fire on that lens. It's so good. We've got some, like, panning up shots. Slow pan ups there. What else we got here? Yep, just a slow, like for these kind of shots, my camera's super steady and I'm just walking heel to toe towards these guys, just adding a little bit of a zoom in. Yeah, we had the planes going over, which was pretty cool. These shots, these ones are crucial in my videos. So like big groups like this, these are the important shots, at least some of the important shots. So whenever I see a group like this, I'm like, yo, can I like get a video of all you guys together? And then they're normally always for it. So then they'll start dancing. And again, I'm just heel to toe walking towards these guys. And I'm like, yo, can someone like take a drink? And she's like, oh, no problem. I got you. So she takes a drink. I didn't use this shot. Like, I think I used it in the final clip or the final edit. But these hands getting in the way kind of ruined the shot a little bit. And these guys were like, yo, can I get a photo? I was like, no, but I can take a video. And they're like, all right, say less. So that's always cool. And then this is a great shot I like to get here too. So you can see this railing. I actually basically mounted my camera on that railing almost and like moved it around to get like a pan out type of thing. And I was planning on speeding this up. I don't think I used this in the final edit, but that's another shot. Oh yeah, here's the shot. So at the beginning of the show, I was like, yo, Dan, I've got a shot idea today. I want you to look into my camera with the crowd behind you. So he's like, 1, 2, 3. Yep, drop hits, goes into the camera. Just a great shot. So I knew this was going to be in the video 100%. Really big fan of that shot for sure. And this is when I hopped on my zoom lens and just trying to get different focal lengths. Yeah, this is where you're a little more incognito and you can like zoom in and really get those details. This homie's just chilling, drinking his drink. This is another shot I always try and get. So like whenever someone does like a hit like this, I'll often try and whip my camera because then I'll try and like build like a whip transition with it, if that makes any sense. So boom. And like if he hit right there, let me create a new sequence just to show you guys any like experiments I'm talking about. check the chat real quick. Yeah, with FX3 you have ProRes RAW, which are uncompressed. M4 is actually really compressed. So if you'll get the camera, you'll feel the difference in quality while you're editing. Yeah, that's what I've heard. So that makes sense. Yeah, the files will be bigger. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Like, actually, bringing up that topic, when I finish a shoot, I have between like 50 and 100 gigabytes of footage normally. So a lot of people record and then just keep recording. And me personally, I'm a guy who records and cuts at the end. So I'm trying to like save myself space when I can. So like 50 to 100 gigs, which I'm sure like when I get to that, FX3, gonna be way more, hundreds of gigabytes of footage, I'm sure. For bigger shows that I've shot before, I have gotten into like hundreds of gigabytes of footage. But yeah, so bye. See you on your next stream. See you later, Jay. Thanks for tuning in, brother. So yeah, just like a quick little, show you guys how you can like create a quick little whip. So if he hits right here, I'll normally start like right where the actual movement of my camera is. So like right here, press C to make a cut, go to speed and duration, and then speed it up by like 300%. That's probably too fast. Try like 200. Yeah, there we go. This is like a nice quick whip. So you can see that movement going to the left. You could even horizontal flip all this footage if you wanted to go from left to right instead. So that's like an easy way to create whips in your videos. So like when someone hits like that, just whip your camera. You can create stuff like that. Back to some shots I always try and get. Got more homies drinking. Yeah, these guys, he's shaking her instrument. You already know I'm going to get that shot, of course. Like, those are the unique shots you're going to get. That's the thing with concerts, like especially these ones, they're unique. There's people dressed up. It's just like a one-of-a-kind experience. That's why I love them so much. Let's see here, going through more footage. There's the glasses shot that we talked about earlier in the stream. More zoomed in shots. Yeah, and this shot right here. This is like a super easy one to do. Like literally, so just record your subject, try and get in a position where you can like focus on them, and then just pan your camera down to the crowd. Especially like when a drop happens. Like this is right before a drop. Boom. And then we're focused. So it's racking the focus from him. And you can see I did a few takes. I'm always trying to do a few takes because you never know like which one's gonna look the best. Sometimes in the moment, like a shot looks good, but it doesn't actually look good. Like these shots, you can't use those. Like I wouldn't use those personally because it's too small here. You got this taking up half the frame. Like, excuse me. So nice little pan shot there. There's my boy AJ. Shout out AJ. I don't know if he's in the stream, but yeah, taking some B-roll of me. So let's see. Other shots I try and get. Always getting up close and personal with the attendees. Yep. More drinking. I was like, yo, bro, drink for me. So I moved my camera in. I was going to do like a crash hit on that. I just didn't end up using it. Got these ladies singing into the camera. Shout out to them. Really cool stuff here. Whipping the hair. This was shot in 60. A lot of this. So you can slow it down. Got guys singing and dancing here. So like, just checking. Can you elaborate more? Can you elaborate more on what you mean when you say record and cut? So when I'm recording, so when I'm shooting the show live, so I will press record on my camera when I want to start recording, record whatever I want to. And then when I know the scene's done and I've got the shot that I want, I'll cut. So I'll just stop recording. So recording and cutting. I hope that answers your question. What's up, man? Sports videographer here. Just stumbled upon this on my homepage. Great vid. Just watched the final edit on your Instagram. Looks great. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that, Sophie Morgan. Appreciate you watching that. Thanks for tuning into the stream, man. That's the thing, too. Like, I feel like I don't see a lot of videographers in this space, like the concert space, like streaming. That's what I'm trying to do with the future of this channel is, like, stream more for you guys, break down these videos. Like, I really want to connect with you guys and my viewers because that's what it's all about. It's all about community, and I just love connecting with people. Feel free to, DM me on Instagram anytime. You guys can find that in the description of my videos. It's nickolaas.media. I just actually made a new one. Actually, good point. I just made a new Instagram where I'm going to be like trying to separate personal life from business life. So my Instagram is nickolaas.media, nickolaas.media on Instagram. So if you want to go follow me there, feel free to reach out. Always happy to chat with people with any questions you have, or if you just want to say what's up. What was I going to say here? Okay, chat's all caught up. We're all chat up. All caught up, chat. All caught up. Let's see. Yeah, the shots I always get. These shots are fire. Yeah, these are great. So they were doing the YMCA here. So this is from the back of the boat. And my focus was really having a hard time here. I should have just locked it off on the stage here, but because people's hands were getting in it and I'm shooting at 1.8, I think it was just messing with my focus a little bit. So there it's fine. That's fine right there. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's that feels pretty good. Yeah, I really like that shot. Yeah, farther back here, and you can see I was actually trying to do like a pan up, so I would speed ramp it, whip into this hit. So like just to give you an idea of like what I'm talking about. Sorry. Let's extend this a little bit. Make this a little bigger. Boom. So normally I would like do this speed ramp to like right here when the hands hit. So I'll put a point right here, drag this up, you know, however much percentage I want, and boom, hit to that. And then honestly, like sometimes I would bring this down to 40%, which is the lowest I can go. Boom. And then that's like slow-mo. You can even extend this a little bit, maybe. Boom. You gotta find that sweet spot when you're moving these points. But because my focus kind of like racked here, it looks a little weird, like a little jarring when it gets here. But that's just an easy way to like add a like a speed ramp to whip into your shots. So when you're filming, like start at the bottom, bring your way up, and then, you know, speed ramp that in post. I might even drag this up a bit more so it's like super quick. Yeah, that's like super impactful. If the focus didn't rack there, like that's definitely a shot that you could play with a little bit more. What else we got? Yeah, very back of the boat. So you can see actually I'm standing on like a bench. Security was not loving that at the time, but I befriended him and he was okay with me standing on that. So what else? I tried to do some low shutter. So this is basically I changed my shutter speed from like 1/50, which is like the double for 24 FPS, to like 1 over like 15 or 10 or something. And I wanted to try and like get that kind of effect going, but I didn't really like the look of it. I tried it here too. Like it was just, I think I could have done it if I don't know. I don't know what I needed to do differently. I just didn't really like the look of it. So didn't end up using that in the footage, or in the final edit, I should say. This is me doing a little bit of vlogging. Don't mind that. Yep, more vlogging. Yeah, and again, like I'm going from up to down here. Yep. Panning left to right, just trying to show the whole crowd. Up from the crowd. This is her dancing. These guys were feeling it. But that's what we like. Get that good footage. And like, look, so this, so she was singing, but you could tell she was like a little nervous. See, like I come up here and I'm recording and she's like, oh, I'm kind of nervous. So, but then she like gets into it. Her friends start singing. So that's the thing. Like you got to like feel out. I was smiling. I was like trying to like encourage her to be on camera. And I think she got more comfortable as time went on. So she was obviously like no problem at all. So shout out to her. Back shots here in the back of the boat. Yep. Just trying different stuff out. It's your boy trying to vlog. This footage will be in a future vlog, hopefully. So, yep, super up close of her singing. This is all 60 FPS, so I can slow this down in post. Just going through like raw footage here, just showing you guys some clips. So I guess a big part of how I edit, this is actually a huge part. So the first thing I do when I get home is like I transfer all my footage, put it all into my computer, put it all in a folder, back it up twice. So I have a backup just in case, and I don't erase my card like right away. So I move all the footage over to my computer and an external hard drive. And then what I do is I will trim my selects. So I originally had my select sequence. Oh, don't mind my alarm here. Turn that off. Okay, so you have to trim your selects. So for those of you who don't know what selects are, they're pretty much, you're going through your entire footage. Excuse me. And you're trimming out the bits and pieces that you want to use or that you could potentially use in your final video. So I literally will start I will proxy all my footage, and then I will go clip by clip and make in and out points, as you guys can see. So like I have an in and out point here, boom, boom. I could probably hotkey that, I just haven't. So then I will also create an adjustment layer. So boom, adjustment layer, and I will put this on the top normally. And then what I'll do is I'll color code it. I'll rename it and I'll color code it. So I'll label this whatever color I want. So say we do this blue, and then I'll rename it daytime. And then I'll also do one that's same thing, or I could just copy paste this. So option, click, copy that, right click, label it a different color, whatever that color is. I don't think I've ever used that one before. Rename it, and we'll do like nighttime. And this is how I did it on this shoot at least. So I would go into my footage and I would start with daytime, which was here. So say we're gonna in and out here, boom, and then I'll click and drag this underneath daytime. Obviously I would leave plenty of room for these guys, so it would be a big timeline. So that would be how I would organize all my footage, so I knew what clip was what. I would do that for daytime, nighttime. I did it for close-up shots and wide shots. You could do like daytime, like I could probably make like concise it even more and like do daytime close, but I just didn't. So I got like daytime, nighttime, I did close and wide, and then so I would drag all those shots underneath the adjustment layers, so I knew that that was the kind of shot I was grabbing. So it just helps me stay a little more organized. And then when I want to use a shot, I would click on it, Control C to copy it, and then paste it into my main timeline, and then move it around from there. Now say I used a clip and I was done with it. So say we have like this clip right here, drag this underneath daytime. If I was done with using a clip, so I copy pasted it, moved it onto my main timeline, and I was going to use it, if I was done with it, I would click this and drag it up one layer. So anything that was on this layer right here was not used. Anything that was on the top layer right here, I had used. So I knew not to go back to that clip because I've already used it in my footage. Doesn't mean you can't use it again, but I had already known I used it. So that's just kind of how I keep myself organized as far as like my selects and bringing clips from one sequence to the other. Your channel is a blessing. I am stupid YB. Oh, it's all good, bro. No, there's no stupid questions here. Happy to hear that. Appreciate that. And then, yeah, so that's how I keep my timeline organized for my selects. And I'll obviously rename my sequence selects so I keep those organized. So yeah, that's just how I would organize all my footage, drag it up if I used the clips. Now, I also like to create a sequence a lot of times. So for like this video is shot in ultra wide, so it would be 3840 by 1632. And I normally would name a sequence experiment. Boom. And then this timeline is pretty much where I would experiment with transitions or just stuff I wanted to try out. Like oftentimes I'm just like throwing footage or clips like onto a timeline and just messing with it, whatever it might be. So I often try to keep like an experiment timeline so I don't mess up my selects or my main sequence. So that's just something that I do. Like obviously you don't have to do that, but I just find it's nice for me to be able to drag clips onto it, experiment with transitions, and if I don't like them, I'll just delete them. So yeah, and then I mean, yeah, I've kind of gone through After Effects with you guys here. If you guys do want to see, oh, I might have messed this up. Let's see on the main sequence here. Oh no, it's fine. Actually, yeah, so it's funny enough, I had black right here until I zoomed in, but the overlay that I put at the beginning here kind of covered that, so you couldn't see that. Funny enough. So I have like some camera shakes that I've been using too, and like if you guys like would be interested in like having like a camera shake preset pack, like let me know. Definitely would get into that. I don't want to make my channel like transactional, but you know, whatever I can do to like help support you guys. Yeah, After Effects, as you can see, like I have a lot of footage in here, bunch of comps, stuff that I didn't use. Like actually I don't think I used this one at all. Yeah, actually, this was one I trashed. So this is like a... Remember how in the beginning of the stream, if you guys were here, I said I wanted to create a sequence around people drinking. So I like made this sequence, but I just didn't really like it. I was like, why does it pertain? Like, how does it pertain to the video? And like, sure, it's a concert, drinking makes sense, but I don't know. I just didn't really like it in the video, so I didn't use it. But I basically just put all these clips side by side, did like a keyframe zoom in on each one of them. I think, yeah, transform, keyframe, scale all the way to 140, and then I copy pasted that across each clip so it's the same, and then turn on the motion blur for all of them. And then I added a camera shake as the clips go on here, so it just has like that intensity and some camera flashes as well. I severely underestimated how much water I would need when talking for an hour and a half. Yeah, so I mean, that's a lot of the stuff that I've kind of gone over. A lot of stuff I wanted to show you guys. After Effects, I'm using it nowadays to just like add motion blur or extra stuff that you can't do inside of Premiere Pro, which is okay. You know, we'll make it work. Oops. So yeah, that's let me check the chat here. And how do you do color grading mostly? Mostly, as I kind of said it earlier, but just real quick, like I will normally put an adjustment layer above all of my footage, and I'll do that on my selects timeline too. Like if I organize it by daytime, nighttime, and sometimes I'll just put an adjustment layer over everything like this, and then I will place whatever I want to use, just, you know, whatever. And then that way I at least have like a general idea of what the color looks like for my clips. Because like sometimes I don't use clips in certain spots because I don't like how the color looks. Like that is a thing. So you can always do that. But on like my main timeline, I'll put my adjustment layer with my LUT above all my footage to convert it. And then I will make specific adjustments on my clips where needed, when needed, sorry. So yeah, doing a lot of color grading here and there. Definitely suggest just looking into the phantom LUTs. Those are what I use for conversions. Super effective. I really like them. Yeah. OMG, this is so good. Thank you, brother. When you're recording, are you knowing how you want to edit? Like, do you have this edit in your timeline, or it's amazing how you're able to bring it to life like this, man. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Really do. So when I'm recording, I said at the beginning of the stream here, like I have a whole pre-production process. I can actually bring that up real quick just so you guys can see my timeline, or sorry, my Google document. Let me, just so I don't show anything I don't want to. Let me bring that up real quick. So like I have an idea of like the kind of video I want to make when I go into every single shoot. I have an idea of the video that I want to make. And so I'm trying to shoot for, and like I've shot these shows for years now. So they're like, I'm used to shooting them and I know like what clips and like what footage I want to get for the kind of video. But let me go back to sharing my screen here so you guys can see display capture. Boom. So this is a document that I made for the event, and there's gonna be a lot of stuff on here. Sorry about these alarms, guys. I gotta turn these off. These basically are just notes that I make for myself, and I don't always follow these, and but I just like to put down my thoughts onto a piece of paper, I guess you could say. So like I'm always noting my gear, so my camera, lens, batteries, SD cards, and I'm always going through that checklist before I leave, because I'm driving 3.5 hours to Boston to shoot this show. I do not want to forget anything, so I have to keep myself organized and make this list, and then I'll check each one off as I go about packing my stuff. So like my gear, camera settings. So I actually was going to shoot the show almost like entirely 60 FPS, but I did a majority of it in 24 FPS. And as you can see, I noted my shutter speed trick that I like to use where I up it to add some more like energy. And I knew I mentioned image stabilization because I wanted to make sure that was on while I was filming, and breathing compensation because I noticed with my 16mm Sony lens, my new one, that there was some breathing compensation going on, but there's actually a setting inside my Sony a7 IV that helps compensate for that, which was super helpful. So I wanted to make sure that stuff was turned on. 4K 10-bit S-Log3 because that's what I shoot. I shot this entire concert in S-Log3. ISO 800 during the day, 3200 because those are my dual base ISOs. White balance. Sometimes I'll change my responsiveness and my autofocus if I need it to be faster. So here's my shot list, and feel free to like use these in your guys' future videos, but I actually didn't use a lot of these shots because I didn't get the opportunity to. I basically wanted to show up to the boat and do a hyperlapse of it. So take like a bunch of photos starting out on the street and work my way up to the boat and do a hyperlapse. But traffic was crazy getting into Boston, and I showed up with like not a whole lot of time to spare, which is not like me, but it was just a crazy day. So I didn't get to do that. This match cut sequence, 5 to 10 faces. So I ended up trying to do that with the drink composition that I showed you guys earlier that I didn't use. If I can find it real quick. Yeah, this one, that was like kind of what I tried to do, but like I said, I just didn't like it, so I didn't do that. Gimbal up or down to establish size / crowd, which I did. Not with a gimbal, but more so to move my camera up or down. I tried the slow shutter effect, which I just didn't really like. Rack out of focus, didn't do that a whole lot. Tougher than it looks, just doing that like manual focus. Crash zoom out with tripod, did that. That was in the final cut. Basically, I actually would zoom in, if I can find it real quick. I would do a crash zoom in from all the way in the back of the boat, and then I would move like halfway up the boat. Yeah, you can see it here. And do it again, and then splice those two clips together. So it looked like it was two shots, but it basically looks like it's like a crash zoom from the very back. So I'd splice it together from the back, and then a shot right here in the front. So yeah, here we go, from the back. Boom. Let me put this onto my experiment timeline so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Boom, boom. It's just like a crash zoom idea. Boom. So there you go. You see like what I'm talking about. So you're zooming in, but you're closer on the second shot. So you gotta like line those up, accordingly. But that's just like a shot idea that I like to do. And then experiment with zooming in, cutting, then resetting zoom. Yep, kind of played with that. I was going to use photos to create a mask transition. I didn't do that, but instead I did a mask transition with the glasses in the video because I just wanted to get some kind of transition in there. Left or right rotations, so twisting my camera. I didn't really do a whole lot of that, but there was some shots where I was kind of angled, more or less. And then I also made sure to note to try and use my zoom lens to get 50mm or 70mm shots for more compression. And what I mean by that is you just get like, here we go, this is a perfect example. This is probably shot at like 70mm. You just get more compression compared to like being super wide, and I feel like those shots can be more intimate at times, or maybe not more intimate, but you're just capturing people like in their own zone, just doing their own thing, because I don't want all of the shots in my video to be wide. Like I want a mixture of wide, close, like medium, and like super zoomed in, if that makes sense. Editing notes. Yep, utilize speed ramping to create transitions. We did that towards the end here. A lot of speed ramping going on during this section. I'd have to re-render this all, but let's re-render that actually real quick just while I talk about this so I can smoothly play back through it. I don't know if you guys are curious, but I have the M4 Pro Max MacBook with 48 gigabytes of RAM, so it's got like the 40 core CPU or like GPU or whatever, and like it's still, it does a pretty good job. I wish I could have had like 128 gigabytes of RAM, but it does the job. I'm pretty happy with it for sure. So we used speed ramping and then camera flashes. So those were the adjustment layers that I was talking about earlier in the stream, basically overlaying an adjustment layer that's like 4 or 5 frames long, putting a lumetri color tool on there, and then keyframing the brightness or the exposure or the highlights, and then just upping that. Anchor point keyframing, we did that during the turntable sequence earlier in the stream, using transform motion blur, which I'm always using. Proxies, create proxies. You can see I have that in caps because I need to do that 100%. Makes editing way easier. First 5 or 10 seconds should grab the attention, which was pretty much why I did that cold open. So it's like a few shots to just throw the viewer into the experience. Tried to embrace more slow-mo. I use like a good amount of slow-mo, maybe not like a ton in the video, I guess. I try not to use too much slow motion because I feel like it can just like be too much. And then take breaks. Do not rush the process no matter how good it feels. You have 4 to 7 days. That was the timeline I discussed with my client, 4 to 7 days. And I just was like, yo, you need to remind yourself, take breaks. Like, you do not have to grind this out super quickly. Take your time, because then it ends up being better in the end. And I'm glad that I did take my time. I'm pretty sure I said it at the beginning of the stream, but I think this took me like 3 to 5 days to edit, give or take. And that was like a few hours each day. A few hours each day. Event goes from daytime to nighttime. Try to leave darker night footage towards the end of the video, which I did. Video starts with daytime footage, and then we get to the nighttime footage towards the end of the video. So yeah, I always create a document before every single just detail that I need to do. Every single project that I do, create one of these documents. I highly suggest doing that for your guys' shoots. It just helps me stay organized. And I always look at it like I'm always pulling up my phone during the shoot, pulling up my phone and just looking at the document on my phone. And the thing with this show too is it was 2 hours long. It was like just over 2 hours, which is super short compared to what I normally do. Like normally my shows are like upwards of like at least 3 to 4 hours long, maybe more. So being 1 to 2 hours long, I had to be like pretty quick with the shots I needed to get. So I definitely tried to utilize my time like the best I could, which is why like I was trying to make a whole vlog out of this, but I kind of realized like, man, like I don't have a lot of time to like be recording this stuff. But good news is like later this month, I just announced it on my YouTube channel the other day, I'm heading back to Boston later this month to shoot a show at Big Night Live, actually, which is a great venue in Boston. If you guys have ever been there, let me know in the comments. But shooting a show there, and I'm hoping to do like a full-fledged like vlog where I vlog my travels from here in Vermont, my pre-production stage, traveling to Boston, and then getting into the show and like giving you guys like some behind-the-scenes looks, like letting you guys see the green room, just like how I go about moving throughout the venue, and some shots live. So yeah, that's a future plan for a video. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much like pre-production, how I went about filming the show, breaking down the edit a little bit. Hope it, gave you guys some ideas, taught you some stuff. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I maybe got like 1 or 2 more things to go over, but any questions you guys have, like, let me know, and I'm happy to answer them real quick. What do you think of this? A friend of mine made this. Is it best to use Media Encoder for rendering, or After Effects or Premiere Pro itself? I just export through Premiere Pro, pretty much. That's all I really do. So I'll show you guys my export settings real quick. So this, let's see. So under video, I will match the source, which you can see here, that fills it in for me. Always make sure to click these 2 buttons, render at maximum depth and use maximum render quality. Always check those. There's really no reason to not check those. Like, why wouldn't you want your videos to look the best possible? So that's how I look at it. And then because I'm using, because I'm using VBR 1-pass bitrate encoding, that allows me to use hardware encoding. So as you can see here, software encoding takes way longer. Hardware is way faster, which is great, And I always try and put my target bitrate between like 100 and 200 because there's a lot of movement going on in my videos, and I want the quality to be the highest it can possible for Vimeo and YouTube. I mean, you probably don't have to go that high. Like I've seen people say before, you can do like 50. I've seen people do VBR 2-pass, and they set it to like 20 and 40. But this is just what I decided to do. And, the file sizes get up there. Like this video is 1.2 gigs, which, I mean, all things considered, that's really not that bad. So yeah, hardware encoding, VBR 1-pass with a target bit rate between 100 and 200. And that's really all I touch as far as like video stuff. And then sometimes there was this issue, I don't know if you guys have heard about this issue in Premiere Pro, where like the gamma was different. So you would like edit and the video would look one way in your editing software, and then when you export the video and actually like watch it back, the contrast was like off. It was like washed out. So I used to use a Lumetri color. I would click this and apply a gamma compensation LUT, but I fixed that by going into my Lumetri color settings. This is huge. If you guys haven't done this, definitely suggest it. At least this is what I do and what has worked for me. So go to your Lumetri color and go to your settings and project, and then your viewer gamma, set that to 1.96 QuickTime. Now, I'm editing on a MacBook Pro, so like the display and Retina display is different than probably what you're going to see on like a desktop. So I guess like it's maybe not do it, like look into it first to make sure it makes sense for like your display. But for me, this is what made sense. And when I export now, my exports look like what I'm seeing in Premiere Pro, which is super important. It's very crucial. So yeah, Adobe's like that sometimes, and it doesn't set their users up for success, but it is what it is. I've been using the Adobe Suite for like 15 years now, so it's just what I'm used to. What do you guys use? Like, I'm curious if you use like DaVinci or whatever. So yeah. Oh, sound effects. Neymar Junio. What's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Where's the final project of this edit? It's on my channel. You can actually go watch it right now. It's literally the latest video on my channel. So feel free to go give that a look. Will the stream be uploaded? Yes, it will be archived. I believe it should automatically do it itself. If for some reason it doesn't archive, I will be really upset. So I hope it does. So you guys can come back and watch through this and, chill. Yeah, final product is on my YouTube page. You can go watch it there. So sound effects, great point, brother. I totally forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up. So let's just make this nice and big. Stream will probably be ending pretty soon here. We'll see, but I'm having fun. I'm chilling. Hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in, for real. Yeah, so let's talk about sound. So here's all the sound right here, and quite a few things going on. So first things first, this, actually, you know what? Give me 1 second. I'm going to go get some water because your boy be dying. So let me get some water. I'll be right back. All right, we back. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay, so back to the sound. Do you recommend editing sound effects packs? I use everything from Artlist, man. Artlist is my go-to. Just recently switched over to it from Envato. So all of my sound effects come from there. Let's see. So yeah, this down here is my music. That's my whole soundtrack. So I normally put the soundtrack on the bottom and put the sound effects over the top because I look at it as like adding the sound effects to the music, more or less. So as you can see, I have points marked on my song. So basically what I'm doing, where these little marks are right here, as you guys can see, is I'm pressing M. Boom, makes a mark right there. So that's basically every time there's a kick or a hit, like a kick snare, boots and cats or whatever. I will make marks there, and then I will cut my edit accordingly to where those points are. I'm not always like cutting to the beat of the song. I would suggest not always doing that, because then like viewers know what to expect and it can get repetitive. So like find a good balance between cutting to the music and just cutting like when necessary. So I have those points made, and basically because this beginning part is the build-up, I don't really make any points. And this first point right here is where the drop is. So that's like where the song, begins, more or less. So I have like some sound effects going on here. Now, I'm going to unmute this so you guys can hear. Just checking the chat. Yeah, we're all good. Okay. So let me, boom. And then I'm going to turn this down just to check the audio levels for you guys so I don't blast your ears. Okay, so that's on. So I'm going to play through it one more time and let me know if you guys can hear it. So yeah. Can you guys hear that? Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? Is it all right? I'll play through it towards the end here so you can hear that. Try to turn it down in OBS. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know how that audio, like if it gets messy or whatever, or super loud. So you can hear it. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm literally just pressing, I'm going through the song and just going M, 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 M to the beat of the song. And then so I'm going to keep these muted. So in the beginning here, I have, let's see, what's this? I gotta turn it up for myself. Yeah, so this is a riser. I hope you guys can hear that. Yep, it's fine, cool. So I've got a riser that starts at the beginning, works all the way up to the actual drop. And then what do we got here? We've got, yep, so when we're doing like a quick whip like this, I add in some extra sound, which is just, this is actually from Show Reveal and Project. Yeah, so that's what this is. It's a wipe from a pack that I got. And I just used the sound effect from it and then just placed it here so there's at least like some kind of sound going on for when we whip. And I do that throughout a lot of the video. So there's that, and then we also have, bear with me here. Yep, more riser stuff. And then we have like a big whoosh right here, I believe. Yep, big whoosh. Whoosh right there. Made it nice and big because it's a crash zoom, so I want that to be, you know, pretty impactful. And then, so yeah, I normally have crowd noise layered underneath my videos, my sound. I think I have this turned down to -9. It's all about like finding the right audio level. Like just play it by ear. So I'll normally like have my headphones on, turn it up to like a relatively okay volume, and then I'll just gauge how the audience, the like crowd noise sounds. So I turn that down 9 decibels, which just adds like energy to your edits. And then like these right here, as I click on them, these are just sound effects. Or sorry, sound effects. No no duh, they're sound effects. Jeez. They are whooshes and risers. Same here. This is another whoosh. These are all whooshes and risers. Whooshes are, you know, pretty huge in this kind of content. Got more whooshes here. Now, when I am, yeah, you can hear that. I'm normally using constant power at the beginning. So if you just go to your effects, phone call. So in my effects, I'll normally go to audio transitions, crossfade, constant power, and then that's at the beginning. So it's just another way of fading in your audio besides exponential fade. I just like it better. So I'll use that to fade into where the most impactful part of the whoosh is, which is like right around here, or maybe like towards the end, and then I'll use the constant power to fade it out, just if I feel like the beginning and the ends of the sound need to transition better. And I am lining up, again, let's listen to this. So I'm lining up the most impactful moment of the whoosh with where the cut happens, or like wherever the movement is. So she's moving the chips down, so that's where like the most intense moment of the whoosh is going to be. And I think I use these as supplemental ones as well. So boom, boom, boom. Like this one isn't even lined up that much. I wonder, I might have used it for this shot here, but this one, you know, that makes sense with the going down. And then yeah, so I'm almost always using constant power to fade in and out my audio, and then adjusting the levels accordingly. This one I got them turned down at -3 dB, which you can always check the levels over here on your audio spectrum. And then we've got more crowd noise here, I think. Yep, which fades in. I use more crowd noise here because we're looking at the crowd, so it just makes more sense to hear the crowd noise. And I put on some reverb normally. So I've got like studio reverb. This is just a preset I have. I mean, you can throw like any reverb preset on there and normally be good. Like you could put on studio reverb, and then what I like to do is go into custom setup, edit, and then I'll choose like Great Hall. Just makes it sound bigger. So I like to do that for sure. And then oh, now it's being weird, huh? Can you guys still see the stream? Okay, cool. Hey, there's my beautiful wife in the chat. What's up, honey? All right, now we've got, I gotta turn this off. Minimize. I'm gonna quit that. I'm gonna change this back to my stream back to, yeah. Oh, we still are. Okay. So yeah, that's how I would do that. And then, yeah, just more whooshes going on, guys, as you can see here. And I'll often layer them. So like this one, I think is, that one's low. So it's like a low whoosh, like almost like a helicopter sound. And then I will use a higher pitched one and layer those together. So the sound effects are more thick, I guess you could say. They just fill up the spectrum a bit more. So like I'll try and layer those just to like make the sound effects stand out a bit more. So find one that has like medium frequencies and high frequencies, or like low frequencies and high frequencies. Just more whooshes here. Let's see, what's this guy? Yep, that's just a reverse whoosh. So yeah, just like a lot of whooshes, a lot of reverses going on. When she whips her hair here. We've got, yep, just a nice whoosh of the head. So yeah, just like using whooshes that line up with the movement of whatever's going on in your scene. And then, yep, just more, like you see, I use constant power at the beginning and end of like a lot of my sound effects. It just helps transition them out. Super easy to put on. And then I actually think I tried to use some boat ambience. Let me turn this up. Yeah, I did. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but because we were out on a boat on the water, I tried to add some like boat ambience real quick out on the water. Out on the water, sorry. I don't really think you can hear it in the edit. I'm not really sure. I think I tried to delete that, or I thought I did and I didn't. So whatever, that's fine. And then we've got just some big whooshes here at the end. Boom. So this one's the deep one right here. Play this one. So nice and deep. And then we have one that's nice and high. So they both, you know, complement each other. And like some sound effects you'll see like already have that. They kind of have like the high frequency and the low frequency. But if they don't, you know, you can just layer them together. And then, yeah, that's like pretty much how I go about like sound designing. I'll add whooshes, any other like crowd ambience, yeah, just stuff like that. I'm not like super, there's people out there that go like super crazy on their sound effects, and like I respect that for sure. That's something I'm still working on as a videographer and a concert creator, like trying to implement more sound and sound techniques and stuff like that. So nice project. Yo, what's up, Josie? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, this is crazy. Now I got the whole fam watching. yeah, guys. So that's like more or less. Appreciate you, Horizon Studios, for tuning in too, man. Really appreciate that. Thanks for all your questions. So yeah, guys, that's more or less like the whole project. Yeah, nothing really. I think I've gone over everything, like sound design, the edit, just how I went about making the decisions that I did, how I go about sound designing. If you guys have any like last second questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them real quick. Again, if you're curious where I find a lot of my assets, I just use Artlist. I'm going to put a referral code in the archive description of this video. So if you guys want to use that code for me, I think you'll get some extra free months, and I get some as well, something like that. So we both benefit from that. Yeah, so Artlist is my go-to for sound effects. Any extra like footage I need or overlays, and yeah, that's pretty much everything. See if you guys have. Block by block tales. Do I buy a MacBook M4 for editing? Yeah, I have a M4 Pro Max, so it's like one of the newer ones. So it's got like a 40 core like CPU or GPU. It's got 48 gigabytes of RAM. Works pretty great. Works awesome. Like I definitely would want more RAM in the future. So I have 48 right now. Would definitely want like 128 or however much I can get on this or whatever future laptops come out. So M4 Pro Max is what I use. Can I have your Discord to chat? Yeah, man. That's a great question. I have my Discord. Feel free to text me on Instagram. Feel free to do that. Just message me on Instagram and we can exchange from there. Yeah, it's Nickolaas.media, so you can always find me on there. Yeah, you guys have any other questions about the edit here? Otherwise, I'm going to sign off in a few minutes. Just any last second questions. I'm just going to mute my stuff here. A lot of just great raw footage that I've been really having a lot of fun working with. So that's pretty much everything. I guess if we want to do like one more playback, I'll just render the whole sequence real quick for you guys and we can just run it back one more time and watch through it and then call that good. Let's see how fast the glow. I will say, like when I'm adding halation and glow to my clips, that's what bogs down my computer a bunch. I wish Premiere like DaVinci had built-in like halation or glow. That's something that I feel like would take their editing software to the next level. You know, like DaVinci, you can just hop on, like put on halation, put on glow, and there's like so many parameters. I couldn't even imagine like trying to create a concert video like this in DaVinci. Like if you guys have done that, let me know. But I've always looked at DaVinci as like a color grade, you know, more like story film kind of editing software. I could be totally wrong. I've used it a few times, but haven't really dove into it all that deep. And also like having grain over my entire timeline here is definitely, you know, weighing down the render time as well. So your Discord name is on the left bottom of Discord, so on your face cam. Yeah, it's Nick, I think. Let me just change this so I don't. My Discord. Maybe I can just link it for you guys if y'all want to. Streamer mode enabled. Oh, it won't show me because I have streamer mode. I don't know how to turn that off, but anyways, we'll connect for sure. It should just be. I'll put it in the chat actually for sure. Yeah. Let's render's almost done here. So this has been fun, guys. Yeah, this was let's see, we got 2 hours maybe, like just under 2 hours. Yeah, just over 2 hours actually. So hopefully at the end of the month here when I shoot my next show in Boston, we'll be able to break down the project again. Maybe I can like live stream my actual editing of that project. I will say like a lot of when I'm editing is like trying stuff out and redoing it. Like I'll try so many different like cuts or effects or transitions, whatever. I'll try so many of them out, and then if I don't like them, I don't use them. So sometimes I'll spend an entire day like trying to work on like a few transitions, and then I just don't really like them, like, which sucks. But it's just like part of creating videos. Sometimes stuff works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm still would be happy to just like live stream my editing of that project. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. I'm going to unmute everything and we will run through this project one more time, and then I will sign out for you guys. Excuse me. All right, screen capture is on. Let's run through it. Here we go. She is. Boom. Well, guys, that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. That's all I got for y'all today. Any last second questions, let me know. But yeah, hopefully next YouTube video, hopefully get one out to you guys like in the next few weeks here. Live streams are definitely going to become like a bigger part of my channel. So hope you guys are into that, and definitely look forward to connecting with you all. So feel free to hit me up on Instagram, and I will chat with you guys all soon. Any last questions? Why and when do you use the 32 millimeter effect? Do you mean the 35 millimeter grain? If that's what you mean, it's just a grain that I overlay over my footage. So it's like super textury. So it's just a grain. And I add that to my footage to just add some texture. I just feel like it gives it that film look, more or less. Yeah, here it is. This is just the grain. This is what it looks like. Literally just grain, and then I'll overlay that over my footage, set that mode to overlay, and then you just have like a nice grain over your footage. So it just adds more texture, adds more film look to it, I think, with the color grade I have. And so that's just why I like to use it. So sent you a message on Insta. Hell yeah, brother, let's go. Cool. Yeah. All right, so that's everything, guys. I'm going to bounce. Feel free to hit me up anytime. Always happy to chat. I will catch you guys in the next live stream.